In Mexico City, the news from El Norte was disturbing, and Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna was angry. The strike on Tampico had been conducted by a Mexican, a friend, using foreigners from New Orleans. The siege of Bahia had been sustained by volunteers from Louisiana, Mississippi, and elsewhere. These men were not Federalists. They were little more than American land pirates and mercenaries. He called an emergency meeting of his government. The mood in Mexico turned dark. On December 30th, 1835, Santa Anna's Secretary of War, Jose Maria Tornel, issued a national decree. Any foreigners who entered the nation by land or by sea with the intention of aiding rebels trying to overthrow the government would be considered piratas, or pirates. If foreign adventurers were taken prisoners, they would die. At Bahia and at La Bahía, foreigners who had taken up arms against Mexico were mostly all that were left. The American and Mexican Tejanos who had started this war had gone back to their farms and families. What remained in those San Antonio River outposts were mostly men far from home, the very people Tornel called pirates. Others were on their way. La Bahía saw the garrison swell as volunteers from the United States continued arriving. Most came from Georgia and Alabama, but some came from Tennessee and Kentucky. Most of the American volunteers involved in the fight at Bahia also headed to La Bahía. These volunteers had passed through New Orleans. General Jose Antonio Mejia was there too, regrouping after his failure at Tampico, and now promoting his Matamoros campaign. Stephen F. Austin and Adolfo Stern were also there, as was Valentin Gomez Farias. An invasion of Tamaulipas and the capture of Matamoros seemed like the best next move. Two Federalists there, Antonio Canales Rosillo and Antonio Zapata, were already leading a successful resistance to the Centralists. Tampico, Mejia decided, had simply been too far south. Matamoros could be sustained by reinforcements and supplies from Texas. Julian Pedro Miracli, a survivor of the Battle of Zacatecas and an ardent Federalist, convinced the rebel government in San Felipe to order General Sam Houston to support this campaign. Houston turned to Jim Bowie and James W. Fannin for assistance. Financiers in New York and New Orleans would sustain the Federalist cause in Mexico. The Friends of Texas, an organization created to funnel money to the cause, was already finding some success. But what exactly was the Texas cause? Was the violence in Texas part of yet another Mexican Civil War? Interest among Americans with means saw no future in backing that. The appeal to liberty might work with hayseeds in Alabama and Georgia, but to the silk stocking set in New York, that was impractical and sentimental. Or, as some argued, was Texas fighting for independence? Was this a replay of the West Florida Revolt 25 years before? Most people knew that President Andrew Jackson had tried to buy Texas just 6 years previous. Was this to be an acquisition by other means? An American takeover of Texas sounded like a lot better investment than getting tangled up in Mexico.